offer my respectful obeisances and to all the devotees who assembled.
Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone. In today's session, this is what we have been doing so far on Shri Īśopaniṣad, and going forward, let's get together again for today's session where we have mantra 14. And we have been discussing, I think today is the 6th session on this mantra. So we can get a bit more detail, hopefully a discussion to understand much better. This is all due to the blessings of Srila Prabhupada ji. And let's do the Mangala Charan, take the blessings of Lordship. Hariva Guru Maharaj, feel free to join me.
ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
तस्मै
तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सदना रघुनाथां भूतं परजनं सहितं अन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् साधना विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभयश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्रीकृष्णाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रसादिने निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, देव महाराज की जय। जय श्री राधे। Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining in. Hare Krishna. So we have been discussing this mantra. So this time we will get going with the mantra. So the mantra itself, if you see the Sanskrit, that now there are 4 sentences, and as we saw in the other slide, we will get in to each sentence and pick the most important part of it for us to understand. But just the translation itself, one should know perfectly the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna, and his transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastime. So transcendental is something which is beyond the material. So this basically says that it's spiritual. And so this is about Krishna, the name, form, qualities, and pastime. but even the devotees of Krishna, for example, Srila Prabhupada ji, and recently Gopal Krishna Maharaj ji, those senior Vaishnavas, when they leave their body, then the devotee, their disciples, they know, they consider their bodies as spiritual. So like when mundane, normal humans, especially in Hinduism, as per Sanatan Dharma, when Hindus die, we burn their bodies. For senior Vaishnavas, obviously those who are His Holiness, we don't burn the bodies. We make their samadhis. So हिंदुइज्म में जिस तरीके से हम बॉडी को शमशान ले जाते हैं और जलाते हैं, लेकिन हम संतों की बॉडी को स्पिरिचुअल मानते हैं और उनकी बॉडी को हम कभी जलाते नहीं हैं, उनकी हम समाधि बनाते हैं। इसी तरीके से वृंदावन में जो कृष्ण बलराम टेम्पल है, वहां पे अगर आप देखेंगे तो श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की समाधि है, और पूरे वर्ल्ड में जितने भी इस्कॉन मंदिर हैं वहीं पर मंगला आरती से पहले श्रील प्रभुपाद जी की आरती होती है, समाधि पर उनकी, और फिर मंगला आरती शुरू होती है। इसी तरीके से गोपाल कृष्ण महाराज जी ने अभी अपना शरीर त्यागा है, और उनकी आप YouTube पे देख सकते हैं किस तरीके से उनके शरीर को पूरी जो क्रिया हुई है वो YouTube के ऊपर लाइव दिखाई गई है, कि उनको बैठे बैठे उनका जो संन्यास डंडा था वो पीछे लगा के उनको समाधि दी गई है। और ऑब्वियसली बहुत सारी ऐसी नेचुरल चीजें डाली जाती हैं जिससे बॉडी लंबे अरसे तक डिकम्पोज ना हो, और उनको बिल्कुल इस तरीके से बैठाया गया है कि वो साधना में बैठे हैं। तो हम ऐसा मानते हैं कि उनकी बॉडी ट्रांसेंडेंटल है। सो हिज ट्रांसेंडेंटल नेम, फॉर्म, क्वालिटीज एंड पास्ट ऑन, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men, animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the infernal cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his eternal life of bliss and knowledge. This is something similar which Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita. भगवत गीता में भी भगवान ने कहा है कि जो एक बार मेरे धाम पे आ जाता है फिर उसका पतन नहीं होता, पतन नहीं होता है। इवन दो किसी लीला की वजह से वो आ सकते हैं, जैसे शिला प्रभुपाद जी आए, जैसे गुरु महाराज जी आए, ऐसे, या भगवान कृष्ण खुद आए, या कभी कभी अवतार के रूप में आते हैं, तो वो पतन नहीं है, वो खुद आए हैं भगवान, या भगवान ने अपने शिष्यों को, अपने संतों को भेजा है ताकि वो यहाँ पर आके उद्धार कर सकें। तो जितने भी संत हैं हम ये मानते हैं कि वो यहाँ पर आते हैं कि यहाँ पे जो लोग गिरे हैं उनकी हेल्प कर सकें। बिल्कुल इसी तरीके से जैसे कि कीचड़ के अंदर कोई गिर जाए तो कोई और इंसान थोड़ा बहुत कीचड़ में जाता है ताकि हाथ दे के उस इंसान को निकाल पाए, या अगर कोई बच्चा है तो पूर्ण रूप से कीचड़ के अंदर उतरना पड़ेगा वो बच्चे को गोद में लेने के लिए। तो कोई देखकर ये कह सकता है अरे आप तो इतने बड़े हो, आप कीचड़ में कैसे गिर गए, लेकिन वो कीचड़ में गिरे नहीं है, वो कीचड़ में गए हैं किसी और की हेल्प करने के लिए। इसी तरीके से जो संत होते हैं वो मटेरियल वर्ल्ड में गिरे नहीं हैं जैसे बाकी लोग गिरते हैं अपनी मानसिक दुर्बलता के कारण, लेकिन वो आए हैं वहां पे दूसरों की हेल्प करने के लिए। तो और जो यहाँ पे सरपासेस डेथ के बारे में है कि किस तरीके से हम इमोर्टल हो जाते हैं, वो इमोर्टल बॉडी कभी इमोर्टल नहीं होगी जैसे हमने संतों के केस में भी देखा, लेकिन हमको ये रियलाइज होगा, सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन होगा कि हम इस मोर्टल बॉडी के बियॉन्ड इमोर्टल सोल है। तो जब हमको सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन हो जाएगा उसके बाद हमको इमोर्टैलिटी का रियलाइजेशन होगा कि शरीर छोड़ने पर हमको अफसोस करने का कोई नहीं। और जितने भी संत अगर हम देखें तो जब वो शरीर छोड़ रहे होते हैं और उनके साथ में जो भी होता है और वो बहुत ही ऑफकोर्स पीड़ित होते हैं, तो उनको वो यही पूछते हैं कि आप जा रहे हैं अब हमारा क्या होगा, तो कहते हैं मैं कहाँ जा रहा हूँ, नेम, फॉर्म, क्वालिटीज एंड पास टाइम्स, इन रूपों में मैं हमेशा रहूंगा। तो और ऐसा ही होता है कि शिला प्रभुपाद जी ने अपना शरीर छोड़ा, लेकिन शिला प्रभुपाद जी के अगर हम नाम देखें तो आज भी हम देखते हैं, उनकी फॉर्म देखें शिला प्रभुपाद जी के, हम हरे कृष्णा मंदिर में हर जगह शिला प्रभुपाद जी की एक मूर्ति है, और हमेशा गुरु पूजा में एवरी डे उनकी पूजा होती है। उनकी क्वालिटीज की बातें, किस तरीके से एक संत हो सकते हैं, किस तरीके से भगवान के एक भक्त हो सकते हैं, उनकी क्वालिटीज, उनके पास टाइम जिन्हें हम एनेक्डोट्स कहते हैं, शॉर्ट शॉर्ट स्टोरीज, उनकी पास टाइम्स, वो हमेशा भक्त अक्सर आपस में एक दूसरे के साथ शेयर करते हैं। और हम और अजय जी एक ही इंडस्ट्री से बिलोंग करते हैं, ऑयल एंड गैस एनर्जी सेक्टर से। तो एक बार ऐसा सजेशन दिया गया था प्रभु जी कि जिस तरीके से हमारी इंडस्ट्री के अंदर अक्सर हम कोई भी मीटिंग शुरू करते हैं तो एक सेफ्टी मूवमेंट करते हैं। ये अक्सर काफ़ी कंपनीज में है, कोई भी मीटिंग से पहले जब सबसे पहली बात करेंगे वो सेफ्टी की करेंगे। तो इसी तरीके से एक सजेशन दिया था कि शिला प्रभुपाद जी ने ये मूवमेंट शुरू किया है, और इतने सारे उनके एनेक्डोट्स हैं कि कोई भी छोटी छोटी उनके पास टाइम्स हैं कि कोई भी हम, जैसे हमने अभी मंगलाचरण किया, तो कोई भी अगर हम कीर्तन करते हैं या कोई भागवतम क्लास शुरू करते हैं, हमेशा हम पहले मंगलाचरण करते हैं। तो इसी तरीके से एक सजेशन आया है कि हमको एक छोटा सा एनेक्डोट सेशन भी रखना चाहिए हमेशा प्रभुपाद जी के बारे में, कोई भी छोटी सी चीज़ की। हर भक्त प्रभुपाद जी से जुड़ा होना चाहिए, क्योंकि और हम सभी प्रभुपाद जी से जुड़े हैं। प्रभुपाद जी बहुत सा सबके लिए दीक्षा गुरु थे कि उन्होंने दीक्षा करी, लेकिन हम सबके लिए प्रभुपाद जी शिक्षा गुरु हैं, क्योंकि उन्हीं के हम पर्पस पढ़ रहे हैं और वही आगे चलती है। हम जो भी सीखते हैं प्रभुपाद जी से, तो वो हमारे लिए बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है। तो ऐसा एक सजेशन गया था, कभी इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ नहीं, लेकिन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एजुकेशन में मैनर अपना मायापुर इंस्टीट्यूट में ये सजेशन गया था। तो लेकिन वैसे भी काफ़ी भक्त ऐसा करते हैं, हमने भी सोचा था कि हमें भी ऐसा करना चाहिए। और एक और ग्रंथ है शिला प्रभुपाद जी का, जो प्रभुपाद लीला लीला अमृत, कि प्रभुपाद जी की जो भी लीलाएं हुई हैं उनको एक बहुत बड़े ग्रंथ के रूप में रिकॉर्ड किया गया है। और काफी भक्त ऐसा करते हैं कि उसमें से कुछ बातें ले लेके या प्रभुपाद जी की जीवनी को ले लेके डिस्कस करते हैं। ऑलमोस्ट एवरी सेशन मे बी लास्ट के 5-10 मिनट्स। तो ऐसा भी एक सजेशन हमेशा कर सकते हैं। तो कभी भी आप अपनी प्रीचिंग शुरू करें तो ये बहुत अच्छा सेशन होता है, जिसके अंदर आप शुरुआत में मंगलाचरण करेंगे, या उसके बाद में एनेक्डोट, शिला प्रभुपाद जी की छोटी स्टोरी, कोई पास टाइम, या मे बी एंड में कोई ऐसा पास टाइम, जिससे कि जब भी हम सेशन समाप्त कर रहे हैं तो सभी भक्त बहुत प्रेरित हैं। तो जो भी सुन रहे हैं वो कभी भी इसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं। अब हम मंत्र 14 के ऊपर आए तो संभूति, eternal personality of Godhead, his name, his फॉर्म, पास टाइम एंड क्वालिटीज, ये चार चीजें जो हमने बात करी, ये भगवान की नहीं, हम संतों की भी, सीनियर वैष्णव की बातों की भी बातें करते हैं। और टेम्परेरी मटेरियल मैनिफेस्टेशन विनाशम, जितने भी स्पिरिचुअल हैं वो इटर्नल है, हमेशा बनी रहेंगी। संभूतम, जो जितनी भी टेम्परेरी हैं वो हमेशा चली जाएंगी। और भगवान के नाम के अलावा हम देखते हैं बाकी सारी ही चीजें जो हैं, जो भी चीज भगवान से नहीं जुड़ी वो मटेरियल ही है, और वो सूनर और लेटर चली ही जाएगी, या तो वो चीज चली जाएगी या उससे जुड़े हुए लोग चले जाएंगे। तृत्वा, अगर हमको इससे सरपास करना है तो हमको स्पिरिचुअल से जुड़ना पड़ेगा। जैसे हम बात करते हैं, एक एग्जाम्पल आया, चलो प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि अगर हमारा हाथ है, हमारे कोई उंगली है, हमारे पूरी बॉडी में कोई भी बॉडी पार्ट है, उसकी वैल्यू तब तक ही बनी रहती है जब तक वो हमारे शरीर से जुड़ा हो। जैसे ही शरीर से वो अंग अलग हो जाता है, उसकी वैल्यू खत्म हो जाती है। अगर हम सोच के देखें, हमारी कोई उंगली निकल जाए, अगर उसको हम वापस ना जोड़ पाए, क्योंकि आजकल मेडिकल साइंस ने काफी तरक्की करी है, अगर हमारा हाथ निकल गया और वो वापस नहीं जुड़ पाता, तो उस जो बॉडी जो सोर्स है उससे वो पार्ट जो निकल गया है उसकी कोई वैल्यू नहीं है। इसी तरीके से हम स्पिरिचुअल हैं, भगवान से निकले हैं, भगवान सोर्स है, अगर हम भगवान से नहीं जुड़े तो हमारी लाइफ का कोई फायदा नहीं। और यही देखते हैं हम आज की टाइम में कि कितने ही लोग मटीरियली मोटिवेटेड हैं, तो सूनर और लेटर वो रियलाइज करते हैं कि वो लाइफ वर्थलेस है। और हमने ऐसे कभी कई संत करे हैं जिनके पास मटेरियल कुछ भी नहीं है। हम इतने पुराने अपने अगर देखें सनातन धर्म के अंदर ऐसे ऐसे भक्त हुए हैं, और आज भी ऐसे वॉन्डर कर रहे होते हैं भक्त, कभी पहाड़ों पे कभी जंगलों में, उनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है। और ये सिर्फ सनातन धर्म में ही नहीं है, हमने देखा है कि अलेक्जेंडर द ग्रेट की हम हिस्ट्री देखते हैं और बहुत सारे ऐसे हम देखते हैं। हम टर्की को अगर देखें, ओटोमन एम्पायर हम कहते हैं, वहां पे ऐसे संत हुए हैं जो जिनके पास कुछ भी नहीं है, लेकिन क्योंकि वो भगवान से जुड़े हैं, तो कोई बड़े राजा हो, कोई बड़े सुल्तान हो, कोई बड़े एम्परर हो, वो उनको कभी भी टेम्प्ट नहीं कर पाते अपने अंदर अपने सामने झुकने के लिए, क्योंकि वो जानते हैं कि मैं जिनसे जुड़ा हूँ वो भगवान है और वो हमेशा रहेंगे। और ये चाहे एम्परर हो, चाहे सल्तनत हो, चाहे सुल्तान हो, चाहे कोई किंग हो, ये टेम्परेरी है और ये जाएंगे ही जाएंगे। और यही शिक्षा वो उनको देने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो हमको ये समझना चाहिए कि इस वजह से हमको खुद और अपनी आने वाली पीढ़ी, और कई हद तक जो पीढ़ी हमारे साथ हमारे बुजुर्ग हैं, वो भी, हमको सभी को लेकर जोड़ना चाहिए अपनी सोसाइटी में, भगवान से जोड़ना चाहिए, स्पिरिचुअलिटी से जोड़ना चाहिए। तो और ऐसा करने से क्या होगा, हमें वो चीज मिल पाएगी जो सभी चाहते हैं। तो इनडायरेक्टली चाहते सभी वही हैं, खुश रहना, बीइंग हैप्पी। बट हम वो हैप्पीनेस ढूंढ गलत जगह रहे हैं। एंड सच अ डिप्रेशन कि हम जिन लोगों को फॉलो करते हैं क्योंकि हमें लगता है वो खुश हैं, लेकिन हम देखते हैं कि आधे से ज़्यादा, स्पेशली कंसीडरिंग डिजिटल इन्वायरमेंट चल रहा है, कि कितना सोशल मीडिया है, कि लोग पिक्चर्स डालते हैं अपनी, वो पिक्चर्स भी आजकल रियल नहीं है। वो जो खुशी हम दिखाते हैं वो खुशी भी रियल नहीं है। और वो दूसरों की अनरियल खुशी को देखकर हम और हमारी आगे की जनरेशन वो टेम्प्ट होती है, क्योंकि उनके पास है, वो खुश लग रहे हैं। लेकिन जब उन लोगों से हम मिलते हैं तब हमें पता लगता है कि ऐसा है नहीं। हम सभी मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम प्रिटेंड कर रहे हैं। लेकिन जो स्पिरिचुअल, जो भक्त होंगे, वो इस चीज को समझ पाएंगे। वो साफ साफ ये कह पाएंगे कि दुख हाल्य है, इसके अंदर खुश रहने के हम सिर्फ प्रिटेंड कर सकते हैं, या बीच में थोड़े जो दुख के सेशंस हैं उसके बीच में थोड़ा थोड़ा जो हमें सुख लगता है कि ये सुख मिल रहा है हमको, हम, लेकिन अगर हम समझें तो वो बहुत टेम्परेरी है। और इस चीज को काफी लोग ऐसा समझते हैं, अरे ये तो बड़ी सैड environment हो जाएगा, but this is very sad if we will just keep thinking that we are very very very, considering this is a dukkhale, we will always be morose, we will always be sad. But no, the idea is if we will remember that this is a temporary place, we need to make the best use of it. And having made the best use of it, we could go back to Krishna. And we will see how we are different. Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, this is the way he summarized this. And as we were saying, paragraph 1 to 2, paragraph 3 to 6, paragraph 7 to 9, paragraph 9 to 11. In this shloka, we have 4 sentences, and we have just seen in the previous slide, each sentence has one word or which in Sanskrit, which we can focus on. And this is more or less what's happening here. So if you will see, nothing could stay, but Krishna's name, they are the only thing which can surpass beyond material to be transcendental. And if we will able to do it, then only we can become immortal. Otherwise, we will always associate ourselves with a mortal body. That's the whole concept. That's how we're gonna be. Now, when we perfectly understand the eternal and temporary, so the very first thing is to understand what's material, what's spiritual. Once we know this, then we can act on it. And the result, as we said, that we will realize the body will die, but the spirit soul will never die. And so this is not the saddest idea. This is the most important realization in our life, that we are eternal. We are eternal. However, of course, very conditioned in this conditioned body. So again, if you see the themes based on Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji's themes, for those 4 paragraphs, if you have the booklet with you or online, then these are the 4 concepts being mentioned in Prabhupadaji's purpose. And if you will very quickly see how these 4 been explained by senior Vaishnavas, then nothing makes this world deathless. Now, we know science has been improving, and science has tried it. Now, Michael Jackson was one of those examples that some people consider him. I've personally met a person who said that we were discussing something, and he said, "Of course, I believe in God." He said to me, "Of course, I believe in God." I said, "Are you sure?" Because from our previous conversations, it was quite evident that he doesn't believe in God. But then one day he said, "Of course, I believe in God. And my God is this." And then he showed me the picture on his mobile. And that was Michael Jackson. And I thought, "This is Michael Jackson. This is a human." He said, "Yeah, this is my God." I thought, "Okay, all right." So of course, later when Michael Jackson passed away, he was very sad, and I went and shared my condolences with him. And he was sad. He was sad, but he did realize that something is beyond, because Michael Jackson had, and I didn't know. He told me that Michael Jackson had so many different doctors, and because obviously he had so many different, I think, operations, surgeries on his body, he he had that perception that he will live for eternity. If not eternity, he will live for longer than any other humans. And for that, for every single thing, he wanted to consult the doctor. And the doctors used to live with him all the time. Anything and everything he will do, he used to consult with the doctors. But so this is what, if you think that he's not just one, we all are more or less very similar. When we do things, of course, we should take care of the body, we should do the yoga. Like Gaurang Prabhuji said, "Well, I do yoga every day." Of course, we should take care of the body, but for what? The intentions, are the intentions to materially enjoy the world, or the intentions so we can serve the devotees better? What are the intentions? Why do we want to take good care of the body? Why do we want a running car? So we can go to the temple, or so we can go to the movie theater, or well, again, not against movie theater, but or to the bar, the nightclub, sense gratification. Why do we want to take care of the car? Why do we need a working state car? Why do we need the body, which is like a car? So scientifically, so much improvement, and of course, everyone should support that. But we should always remember that this is to provide the comfort, not to make the body immortal, which of course a lot of people, if all the danavas, if you think, all the demons, they had this conception. The very first thing they would ask in all our shastras, the very first thing is, make me immortal. I don't want to die. And scientifically, these days, modern science, if you're trying to do the same thing, of course, if you are spending more time to overcome the diseases, so the human life is much better, then that's a great cause, and we should all contribute to it. But if the idea is that we don't die, then we should really think about it, that we could not originate the birth and death. They are not human activities. We do take part in those, but they are not human activities. We don't have control over them. Now, of course, scientifically, we try to get over these things. And birth, death, old age, disease, and these are the 4 things which made Siddhartha Gautam to become, to start to embark his spiritual journey, and eventually be self-realized as Gautam Buddha. We should understand that was many years back, and even after so much, the science will still not overcome. And we need to understand we can't. So the goal should always be clear. And then nothing can make this world deathless. So of course, a lot of things happens, and these are the, so from birth till death, there are phases in our life. If these are two, they are in between these phases where the life grows, and we can't really help in it. It's not in our control at all. And these are living beings, and the non-living entities are different. They are the ones, they don't really need the origin, even though a lot of people say, a potter or might say, oh, I've made a nice pot, clay pot. But the clay pot is a form, the clay already existed. How clay came from the nature. So Krishna gave us the clay, the substance was there. What the potter has created is just another form of that, and that's a clay pot. But humans didn't create clay. Similarly, the five Panchabhuta, five primary constituents of the body, they were already there, provided by Krishna. And then we have started playing around with it. With all the success we have in this material world is due to what Krishna has provided to us. If we remember this, then and the skills we have to utilize these supplies, these raw materials, Krishna has given those skills as well. So whichever way we think, more we think about it, the only thing we can think is the gratitude towards Krishna. And these are the things we think. These are the 6 laws of transformations. So on the left, if you see any living being, if you think about, they go through these 6 transformations. And even in Bhagavatam, there is a verse which mentions these 6 transformations. But they will happen. They will happen automatically. You've got to do these things, right? So a living being is, and death is part of it. Hence, we will never look for the deathless body. Now, this is so Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji he has gone a bit further, explaining that it's not just us who understand, even other. So he's given the example of Jewish and Christians and the modern science. Now, this is a linear approach. So almost everyone understands it, but some others, so I won't claim because I didn't go into detail, but what I've heard from Prabhuji and a few other friends in other religions, that it's a very linear approach they have, that this is the time when the universe will create, this is the time the human body came up, and this is the time when everything will end. Hence the concept of Judgment Day. Because one day, Judgment Day will come, and based on your karma, you will be judged. So, and these are the phases they think things will go. But it's very linear. But they don't really have a clear concept or like where the question marks are. Then what happens there and what will happen in between? Not a clear idea is given. But Vedic concept, if we see, is always been cyclic. So it's a cycle which keeps rotating. Whether it's the yugas, if we see, so we have the Satyug, we have the Dwapar Yug, the Treta Yug, Dwapar Yug, and then Kali Yug. And then again, we will have the Satyug, and this will continue. And whether we think of the human body, then the body is gone, like what Krishna says, is like taking, when the winters change, we change the clothes. Similarly, the soul will just change at the time of the death. We will just give away this body and take a new body. And this is the cycle which will continue, of course, until unless we break this cycle and we become enlightened. We will go back to Krishna, because this is a material world. But in this material, we can keep roaming around. Again, very similar analogy of the shopping mall. We can go to the shopping mall from one aisle to another, and we can keep roaming around. Or we can just decide we had enough of the shopping. We know this will never end. We need to get out of it, and we will go home, right? We will end, because shopping is always temporary. Whether it's window shopping or we really want to buy something, whether we want to buy clothes or we want to buy food, it's always temporary. Doesn't really matter how immersive the experience is. So I was reading somewhere that it says Starbucks had started the concept that Before that, these confectionery places, the people used to come, they will have tea, coffee, or maybe a bit of cake, and will go. But Starbucks said, no, we would like to give a place for the youngsters to kind of hang out. They will come and they will have a great experience there. And now this is the concept, of course, been many years now, be evolved further, where people would like to go and maybe have meetings there. They will stay, not just for tea and coffee, but to hang out, to have a great experience. But doesn't really matter how great the experience is. It's temporary. And this is what the Shastras say, Sharbhanga, doesn't really matter how. So if we go to the next one, so I think we all know this cycle. So creation will happen, we will maintain, and annihilation. This is the destruction part, where between one yuga to the other, the destruction will happen, annihilation will happen. And if you think about it, the body, whether we say, let's say every night when we go to sleep, even though that's a part when the body repairs, but every day, every moment we get old. Every moment that destruction is happening. What is the process of old? The cells which make our biological body, they die. They're getting older. Every moment they are getting older. So the great example. So somebody goes, so when we go to the Haridwar, we take a dip in Ganga, in Ganges. We go, the water is flowing. And we go, we take a dip. We take the dip, we come out, it's a new Ganga. Because the old Ganga is gone, has flown away. It's a new Ganga now. The water is fresh, water is new, because it's a flowing water. But if you think about it, it's not only the water is new, the Ganga is new, even we are new. Why? Because the old body cells are gone and the new body cells are there. Even if it's for very delta point, if you think about it scientifically, there is actually a scientific term for it, that when every moment a new part of us dies, and then the old part dies and the new part takes birth. Of course, the new part which takes birth is not always as young as the old one. But that's how it depends whether we do the exercise, it depends what kind of food we eat, what quality of that new being will be. It's like we will keep changing our mental state. Let's say what we hear, what we see, the people we associate with, based on all that, because they all are food. Not only the food we eat, but the food from the eyes, food from the ears. So it says the Shastras, they are the food which starts from the, how do we say? So a beautiful verse in Bhagavatam, it says, Pivat Bhagavatam. We drink. How do we drink? We drink from ears, because Shravanam, we hear Bhagavatam all the time from senior Vaishnavas. Of course, we can read it, and then we are reading from our eyes. So all the senses, they are taken materially, but of course that could be spiritual as well. So annihilation happens. Every night it happens, every moment it happens. When the yugas change, then it happens. When we leave the body, then it happens. It's a continuous process. And then after that, the creation happens again. As I said, old cells dies, new comes up. But of course, not 100%. Let's say 10 old cells dies, not 10 new cells, because that means we will never die. Fewer cells will come, less number of cells, and the process will gradually grow old. Creation, maintenance, annihilation, and then again creation. And this is the cycle which will continue. So Vedic cycle. So this is a common concept, that it's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle we need to fight. Janma, Mrityu, ka chakra, chalta hi rahega. So this is what we have always heard from our ancestors, right? Even if they didn't read any of the scriptures, but even from their experience, because the whole society was so Vedic, that anything and everything we used to do was Vedic in terms. We have seen the Goloka chart. We have discussed that in detail. And that's where we can understand that the cosmic manifestation, Mritya Loka. So right at the bottom, in the middle, we can see Brahmajyoti. Above it, we have the spiritual, and below it, we have the whole Brahman is there. And then in the Brahman, we dies. Why? The whole Brahman itself dies. The Brahma dies. But again, there are different ways. The one is where the earth will die, but Indralok is there. The second, where Indralok will also die. The third, where Brahmalok will also die. So there are three different levels, if you think within the universe, which we discussed when we discussed the whole Goloka chart. So and it's all living things. There isn't any exception at all. Now, moving on to the next one. If there is any discussion point there, please let me know. And if you continue, paragraph 3 to 6, the Vedas, they give us the information about what dies, what doesn't. Of course, we can see from our own experience and many other examples, the whole body is there. The body is there being very healthy. So not only the people, so a lot of healthy people die. It could be just a heart attack. And sometimes doctor says, well, we don't really know why the kidney failed, why the liver failed. Sometimes it just happens. Of course, these days, a lot of people don't take care of their health, whether it's a material body or the mental health of it, physically or mental. We don't take care that much because everybody is a stress. Try to gain something which is not going to help a lot. Spiritually, of course, materially we can gain a lot more, but then what's the use of it? However, if you think about, then we have the scientists, politicians, they consider us ignorant because they work towards more material. I think these days, any profession, so these are only two professions they said, but any profession. And these two professions could also be spiritual, based on what are the intentions behind our karma. But Vedic literature, and Sri Īśopaniṣad is one of those, which gives us the correct understanding. And Srila Prabhupada explained it so very well, that this is a temporary place. Just make the best use of the bad bargain and then get out of it. So the whole idea is to prepare ourselves for that spiritual movement where we're going to leave this body, and then what are our thoughts at that time will decide what's going to happen. Antakale. So right at the end, what will happen, how my next birth will start. So it's very important to understand that. This is again reference to the Goloka chart. We did discuss that, Lord Vishnu's energy, Para Prakriti, Apara Prakriti. So Para Prakriti is the living entity. And that's where, if we see, we came out. The spiritual world, so we are spiritual beings, being the spiritual soul. And this is what Krishna says, Pitraloka, those who pray to Pitraloka will go to Pitraloka. Those who pray to Bhuta, they go to the Bhutaloka. Those who pray to the demigods, they will go to the demilord's place and enjoy life there, Swarga. But those who would pray to me, they will come to me. And after that, Mad Bhaktam Lavitapara, my devotees will come to me and they will never ever fall down. So this is where we are para prakriti, not apara prakriti, which is material. Now everything is material after that and comes out of it. And again, in bracket it says 1/4, a quarter, and 3/4. So how small is the material world? It looks so huge to us, but an earth is only one part of it. But the whole material creation is only quarter of the whole creation. Spiritual is 3/4. So much bigger places there. It's like when you go to a shopping mall, it could be like in Dubai, we have a Dubai mall, which I think is still the biggest and the largest shopping mall in the world. And it doesn't really matter how big or the large it is. But at the end of the day, it is a shopping mall. Well, we got to go home. We cannot stay there. So it doesn't really matter how much comfort we will gather in this material world. We will have to leave it. We will have to go back to Krishna. And we do remember, we saw the spirit world the Goloka, and from there Krishna is there, and in the form of Mahavishnu. The material world, there is no number to it, innumerable, like unaccountable. We can't really put a figure on it. So many. And we have seen the last time in Bhagavatam, where when Brahma goes to see Lord Vishnu, when Lord Vishnu says to Jai Vijay, okay, make him wait, I'm going to come. And then they said, Vishnu actually asked, which Brahma? And the Brahma says, oh, what do you mean, which Brahma? I'm the only Brahma. How many Brahmas are there? And then when he walked in, he saw so many Brahmas. So we have Chaturmukha, the Brahma with four faces, four heads. But there are so many, and the mention is there are Brahmas with hundreds and thousands of heads. Because there are so many Brahmans, and every Brahman need a Brahma. And Brahma itself is a placeholder. You and me could become Brahma. Well, devotees would not like it to be, because that's material as well. Of course, if we use that place as a launch pad, that if we are not good enough. So Arjuna asked Krishna, what happens to those who will work on that in this spiritual path, who will not able to achieve the end goal? Krishna explains so well that any step on this spiritual path will not go waste, right? We discussed this in the past, whether we are chartered accountant, chartered engineer, MBBS, MD. In this world, doesn't really matter how much money we have, how much prestige, power, whatever we gather. Next birth, we will start from zero. Right? By spiritual path, Krishna says, whatever you have gained, next birth, you will get a bit better. You will start, the circumstances will be, the family could be devotee, more aristocratic, the favorable circumstances will be there, and you will begin where you have left. And this is the reason we have seen some devotees, they join late, but their progress is so immense. Hence, devotees, they don't compete with each other. Of course, we can get inspired by each other, but we don't compete with each other, because we know everybody got his or her own personal journey to go for. So how insignificant we have seen this before. 1 year, 20 hours of Brahma. So the whole year we have, it's only 20 hours of Brahma. One Chatur Yuga, 12,000 years of Brahma. 1,000 Chatur Yuga, 1 day of Brahma, we call it Kalpa. So it's hard for us, like 4.32 billion years. We cannot, because how these days even somebody to reach 100 is a miracle, even despite. I mean, it's amazing. Olden days we didn't have so much scientific help, but people still used to live longer. But now science has evolved so much, and people can't even live as much as they used to when the scientific advancement wasn't there. This itself is proof that what and how much we could do. Of course, this doesn't mean that we should not support it, but what is the idea? Why do we want to do it? Again, for material sense gratification, or for the spiritual progress, which means again take good care of our body, because of course if you have coughing, if you have cold, it will be hard to sit and do chanting, mala, and you might not be able to go to the temple if you are coughing. We don't want to take the virus there. So keep good care of your body, but it's just like a car, like a vehicle, which will take us to the destination. It's not the destination itself. And we have seen this chart before, where Lord Brahma, and this is where Brahma Samhita comes in, and Lord Brahma goes to Krishna and asks that Brahma himself, he lives so well, but still at the end of the day, Brahma will leave life as well. We have seen all this calculation before, but Prabhuji mentioned it, so I added this in the presentation as well. So if you need more details, then please let me know. We have seen this, how all the calculation is there. But Kali Yuga is 4.32 million, if you think. 4.32 million is how long the Kali Yuga is going to go for. And then, so if Kali Yuga is K, then Dwapar is, so that's the reason we call Dwapar, 2 Yuga. Kali Yuga is 1 Yuga, Dwapar is 2 Yuga, Treta is 3 Yuga, 3 times, Satyuga is 4 times Kali. So the quality of the life goes down and the amount goes down. And it's a good thing if you think about it. Because if something is painful, which is Kali compared to Satyuga, then it's good that it's, even though 4.32 million is a lot, but it's still good that compared to Satyuga is only a quarter of its size. But then we have Mahayuga, when you compare all, then you have Manvantara, then you have the 71 Mahayuga. So we have the names of Mahamantra. So who is going to rule the Mahamantra? So the names are given in Bhagavatam. Each Manvantara is preceded and followed by a Sandhya. Sandhya Kal is when annihilation happens. So in between we have these annihilations. And day of Brahma, that 14 Manvantara plus 15 Sandhya Kal. So because not all the annihilations, most of the annihilation Brahma will see. Only the last at the end, when the Brahman goes down, then Brahma goes down. Otherwise, all other annihilation, Brahma is there, Brahma is still living. So that will become 1,000 Mahayugas. So it's beyond. I mean, how, even if we will live for 100 years, it's hard to think anything before 100 anyways. It's insignificant. This says how insignificant we are. 1.9 billion years. I mean, 100,000, then 1,000, which is a million, and then billion, which is 1,000 millions. It's hard to imagine what could happen. And then, of course, the age of universe is also there. This is where we are, if you think about it. That this is all science found out later, but it's there in our Shastras. Compared to these calculations are there, right? So we'll end with this. Hopefully you would have seen this. This is a funny way of saying, where somebody says, "Oh, Brahmaji, I have heard that your 1 second is about 100,000 years." He says, "Yes, son, that's correct." So, and that your $1 is ours $100,000. Say exactly right. He said, "Well, can I have your $1, please? Just give me your $1. I don't want more," because of course that's equal to 100,000 anyway. And what Brahmaji replies, "Wait a second, my child. Right? Wait a second," which is wait his second, which is 100,000. So the moral of the story is that, and this will keep happening. We see a lot of demons, they ask for immortality, and Brahmaji says, "No, you can't have that because I'm not immortal either." But they ask different conditions, like Hiranyakashipu did. "Oh, I won't be dead by this. And they think, "Oh, I have cheated Brahma." But Brahma is probably the wisest person in the Brahman. So humans think we are cheating, spending more time in material life and try to progress further materially. But at the end of the day, it is material and we cannot. The only person we are cheating is ourselves, and of course, maybe the people around us. So on that note, we will stop it here. And hopefully next time we will conclude chapter 14. Thank you so much for your association. Looking forward for your association again next week, 9:30 to 10:30. Meanwhile, you take good care of yourselves. With that, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev Maharaj ki jai, jai jai Shri Radhe.
Radhe.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Dhanyavad.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.